Hey guys, it's your best fight friends. I'm Kelsey. That's not Rachel. That's Kenny Florian. And Kenny Florian is here. He's classing up the joint, first of all, but he's here to talk about the upcoming PFL season. Kenny, I'm really excited about it. Tell me how excited you are about this season.
I'm very excited. I think anytime you invite that kind of tournament style format into mixed martial arts, it kind of brings back that martial arts spirit for me, anyway. And I think that the PFL this season really are committed to bringing in the best, absolute best fighters they can find. There's just so many great matchups that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the tournament. First of all, I grew up playing Mortal Kombat, so I love the tournament. I love the idea. And then
Right.
I remember way a long time ago, like UFC one, there was a tournament for the first few years.
Exactly.
I love that. Also, coming from, I'm relatively new to MMA. Over the last couple of years, I've started covering MMA, but I covered boxing for 10 years before that. And let
Mhm.
me tell you, if you don't know, and I'm sure you do, in boxing, they don't make the best fights, right? We wait years and years for them to put together fights like Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, or even more recently with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I come over to you at MMA and they're just making fights all the time. And then this thing removes all the promotional part out of it. You win your fights, you get in the tournament, and you get a chance to win a world title. I love that.
Absolutely. I think anytime you're able to remove any of the political barriers, let's say, or any of the business barriers of negotiating certain fights and when it's going to happen and all that stuff, I think you're going to get better fights because of it. You give the fans the fights that they want to see. The fighters get to kind of determine their own destiny in a way, right?
I love that. I love when people bet on themselves too, like any kind of story where people bet on themselves and decide to take the road that maybe appears harder. I feel like Anthony Pettis has done that, right? Because
Yeah.
UFC wanted to sign him, but the PFL also wanted to sign him, and he wanted to take a chance on himself. I
Yes.
love that. To me, he's one of the biggest storylines of the PFL's upcoming season, but also he fights on Friday.
That's right. And he has perennially been one of the most exciting fighters to watch in this space. This is a guy who was absolutely fearless, a tremendous martial artist since he was a young age, and a former champion in the UFC and one of the best fighters in the world in his weight class. And he's coming back to what I think is his best weight class at lightweight at 155 pounds. And I think we're going to see the best Anthony Pettis on Friday night.
That's exciting. And also, I love that they're kicking off with the main event is Pettis versus Clay Collard. Now, I love boxing. Clay Collard had a heck of a year in boxing over 2020. And he says he was still training in MMA the whole time. He feels like he's as dangerous as ever. And I can't wait to see these two guys get into the cage.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to him yesterday, and this guy is so fired up. He seems really relaxed, but also really confident in his fight against Anthony Pettis. He feels like he matches up better against Anthony Pettis than anyone out there. And he might be right. You talk about his striking background and his ability to really be the ultimate underdog. You look at his boxing past over the last year or so. He really played spoiler again and again. And he's a guy that, he's got the kind of power, he's got the striking experience, and now he's got the momentum where he really could go out there and play spoiler yet again against one of the best fighters in the world at 155 pounds.
Another boxer, but she's been a boxer for a really long time now. Claressa Shields, two-time gold medalist, three-division world champion. Like, she's won arguably already the greatest female boxing champion in boxing history.
Yeah.
She's transitioning over to MMA with the PFL. I think her fight comes in June.
Yes.
How excited are you to see Claressa get in that cage?
I'm really excited to see how she approaches her mixed martial arts career. She could have easily just stayed in boxing and done well there. And I think that it's a real admirable quality when someone is able to go into a completely different sport. And yes, they are, both combat sports, but they are very different. And it takes a lot of time to really learn and understand the grappling aspects of mixed martial arts. And the fact that she's, really taking it seriously. She's training over in Albuquerque with Greg Jackson and Winklejohn and their team. And it shows her commitment to want to do well. And just based on her athleticism and her success in boxing, I got to imagine she's going to do very well in the PFL. And I'm excited to see her go out there and compete and see what other tools she brings to the table.
It's so inspiring, I think, what Clarissa is doing. I actually went and visited her out at Jackson Wink
Mm.
Academy, and it truly inspired me. A guy who I'm 42 years old, and like I can box a little bit, but I was always afraid to try something new because I didn't already know how to do it. And I was
Sure.
sitting there watching her. She's what, 25 or 26 years old, visibly frustrated, but loving every second of it, you know? So
Yeah.
Clarissa led me to actually getting kicked in the face recently for the first time. I told her the same thing, but I think it's so awesome. I think we need more stories like that of people stepping out of their comfort zone, right? And doing something different. I love that. I can't wait to see her fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, another huge name in the PFL, and I think is going to be a huge name across MMA over the next decade, is Kayla Harrison. I love watching her fight. I think she has all the tangibles and intangibles, but you know, she's got a deep division ahead of her. Do you think that she can come out the champion again this year?
I really do. You know, until proven otherwise, I think Kayla is going to be a favorite and probably a big favorite against anyone that she competes at in and around her weight class. She's an amazing athlete. Obviously, you look at what she's accomplished as a judoka at the highest level. You know, for an American to do what she did in judo is just amazing. Now she's coming in and dominating, perhaps even more impressive fashion in mixed martial arts. So she has all the background, all the mindset to become one of the best female mixed martial artists of all time. And right now in her division, I think that there are some challenges there. There's no doubt about it. A lot of experienced women, a lot of tough women in that division. I think it's still her division to lose, to be candid. But I think we're going to see another impressive year, another impressive season from Kayla. Also, I wouldn't be surprised to see if she comes in with more tools and more weapons. You know, she's been working on her game. She obviously is primarily a grappler, but I know she's been working on her striking over at American Top Team, and perhaps you need to watch out for her striking this season as well.
Yeah, it's exciting. I definitely feel like she's on her way up, and she's just soaking it all in from her teammate over there, Amanda Nunes, right? That has to be
Yes.
a great experience for her. She wants to be the greatest of all time, and she gets to learn from arguably the greatest of all time as well.
Exactly.
How long before you think PFL's trying to set up Shields versus Harrison, though? Because that that is
Yeah,
a super fight.
I think there's probably going to be a decent amount of time before we see that. I mean, I would like to see that. I'm sure Claressa Shields wants to have some time to be able to develop her skills to get to that level. But what's really intriguing about that, right? If we can peek into the future like you're doing, you have arguably one of the best strikers to ever compete in the sport against arguably one of the best grapplers to ever compete in the sport, and we get that classic grappler versus striker matchup, right? And of course, you know, we've seen different kind of aspects of that over the years in various mixed martial arts organizations, but this one, you know, assuming Claressa is doing all of her work with her grappling and her wrestling and all that stuff, I think it would make for a huge fight. So, yeah, we could definitely see that in the future. I just don't want to see it in the near future. I think Claressa needs time, and I'm sure she would like to have some time.
Yeah, because it really takes a long time. She's never had to
It
deal
does.
with people even picking up their leg, much less trying to
Right.
kick her head off, right?
Right.
And then you throw in the jujitsu, the wrestling. How long do you think she would be before she would be legitimately ready for something like that?
Geez, you know, here's the thing, you know, and maybe I'm biased because I do come from that grappling background, but I do believe that grappling, due to its sensitivity and all that stuff, and all just the intricate nature of the art, I think it takes more time to
Yeah.
get good and to understand it. So I think a couple years, you know, is reasonable for her to really get comfortable with that aspect. I think she's a tremendous athlete, and certainly she's going to be able to learn at a faster level than most. But you know, Kayla's been doing judo since she's a kid, so that, you know, that is a huge advantage. And of course,
Yeah.
Claressa's been doing striking for a long time, so she has an advantage there on the feet as well. So I think a couple years of getting a handful of fights under her belt or more could be sufficient to build up quite a fight.
Now, of course, you're in Atlantic City right now. You're living in that. You're in the bubble. I think it's a 17-day bubble, right?
Myself, I didn't have to be in that
Okay.
same requirements as a fighter, but yes, the fighters are in a 17-day bubble. For me, I think I got here on Monday. So yeah, not as bad.
How's that bubble life?
It's been fine. You know, I had to quarantine for 24 hours. We get tested every single day. Yeah, it's fine. Someone gets to get me my meals for 24 hours. That's not too bad. I can't really complain. I like alone time, so it's nice for me to, have time to of course do work here and do research and stuff like that. But play around on my computer and read and all that stuff.
Of course, you had a great career with the UFC, and you've also had a great career doing commentary and being on television talking about MMA. The UFC is the pinnacle of MMA promotional companies right now. But do you think that the PFL can catch up to them and maybe even rival them someday?
I really do. Listen, I think that there's space for different organizations in mixed martial arts. And also, I think that the PFL does something very different than the UFC.
Yeah.
So I think they have their own little niche in that aspect. And I think, again, especially amongst Americans, I think we all love, really globally, because like you got the World Cup, you got UEFA Champions League, you get all these things. People love tournaments. People love seeing teams or individuals fight each other and move up the bracket and get to that championship round. And I think the PFL offers that to everyone who loves to see that. So I think that's what really separates it from other organizations like the UFC. And I think both are different, and I think there's enough room for it. But the PFL, both globally and nationally, is really growing so fast, which is awesome to see.
This PFL season, they've signed so much talent to go along with the great format, to go along with it being on ESPN. This is one of the most exciting times, I think, in recent MMA history. So I'm really excited to see the PFL this year.
I agree.
Now, not everything in the combat sports is there to be excited about, right? I mean,
what are you alluding to, Kelsey?
Well, many people are not excited that Jake Paul demolished Ben Askren in a boxing ring over Saturday on whatever kind of pay-per-view I had to watch to watch that fight. I was really excited to talk to you because I was wondering, what did you think about that spectacle?
Yeah, exactly. You had to suffer through all the things that came before it. Yeah.
Crazy.
It was like the internet just vomited onto a stream. It was
yeah, and like I was not expecting it. I was like, "What is this? This isn't what happened last time."
Yeah, listen, it was a shame to see Askren lose to Jake Paul. No, I'm not necessarily surprised. Just right. I mean, Askren has never claimed to be or has never been a dangerous striker. What he does best is wrestle guys to the floor and beat them up and outposition them and maybe get some submissions. So I think that Jake Paul was smart. Okay, I'll give him a compliment. He was smart in that he chose the right guy for the job in Ben Askren. But at the same time, Ben Askren does represent the mixed martial arts community to a certain extent. So to me, it was tough to watch. At the end of the day, Jake Paul does have some kind of athletic background. I know he wrestled in high school and stuff like that, and a good wrestling state and all that stuff. And he's been committing himself to box over the last couple of years. But to see a guy who really is known as a YouTuber knock out another professional fighter was just it angered me. Okay, I was pretty pissed off, and it was tough to see.
It kind of just blew up my brain because I was like, I was sure. At first, I know that Jake Paul, I said it from the beginning, this guy can fight a little bit. He can box. You could see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can't fake some of the things that I can see him do on tape. But I never foresaw it coming that he would just knock Ben Askren out in the first round. That was crazy to me. So it kind of blew up my brain.
Yeah, it was definitely a knockout. And kudos to Jake Paul for landing that shot. It was a really nice shot. Askren, also... I don't think he saw this as a tremendous challenge himself. I don't think he took it seriously. I don't think he expected for that to happen. Listen, a fight is a fight. Anything can happen. This isn't necessarily a surprise because Askren is just a terrible striker. Yeah. But kudos to Jake Paul for doing his work and getting it done. Landing a good shot.
The awkward position I find myself in now is I definitely want him to fight somebody that can punch back, right? I want to see that. But then I would also have to pay $50 for the pay-per-view for whatever the rest of that thing was, right? I got
exactly.
I got
And if you're on the East Coast, like exactly. And if you're on the East Coast, you're waiting till like 1 a.m. to see this thing, and you're like, please just end this. Just, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, so are you interested in seeing who he fights next?
I'm curious, I guess. I hope it's someone like maybe a Tyron Woodley or something. I want to see him against another fighter, a guy who could actually kind of stand up and fight. So, because really so far, Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player and, who boxed a little bit and trained for the fight. And then, you got Askren, who really was never, yeah, exactly, very little bit. And Askren, who never was a striker, never claimed to be a striker, never really worked on striking. So, I don't know. I want to see a challenge, I guess,
I know that there is a challenge coming up for Conor McGregor in his next fight against Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Third fight. I'm excited about this fight, but I don't know if I'm as excited about the new / old Conor McGregor. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, listen, I think that for Conor, he has had so many different things happen to him over the years. He has gone from being, a hungry fighter to a huge, massive star to a multi-millionaire to a business owner to, an underdog, a favorite, a champion, a double champion, then lost the belt. And there's been so many things that have transpired over the several years of his career. It's tough to know what's going on in his head. Is he hungry again? Does he want this? Is he going to approach this as a boxer? Is he going to approach this as a striker, as a mixed martial artist? I think in order for Conor to win this fight, he's going to have to bring back the mixed martial artist, the true martial artist who's trying to integrate all of his weapons, not some of his weapons, and not expecting a certain result. And I think anytime you try to go out there and expect a certain result in a fight, you kind of screw yourself. Sometimes it works out for you, but many times it does not. And you really have to be, I think what makes Conor McGregor such a great fighter is his creativity. And when he's putting it all together and he's feeling the moment. And I didn't see that in his last fight against Dustin, even if he was winning portions of the fight. So I do think it's definitely a winnable fight for him. Dustin is as tough as they come. So Conor's going to have to be prepared. There's no doubt about it. He's going to have to be hungry. He's going to have to have his training on point. I think if he does that, he can win that fight. If he doesn't, it's going to be another Dustin win.
Who do you predict is going to win? I'm going to put you on the spot. You got a prediction?
Here's the thing. It's tough because you just never know what Conor McGregor is going to show up. And this is not a diss on Dustin Poirier. Here's the thing. I know what Dustin Poirier is going to show up. This guy he's going to come and train hard, and he's going to fight to the absolute end. If Conor McGregor comes in and is trained properly, I think he wins the fight. I think that if he's just trying to use one or two weapons, or if he's deficient in any one area, I think Dustin wins the fight. So I didn't really give you a prediction, but that's what I'm gonna say on that one.
I asked you a prediction. I don't have a prediction myself. I haven't even got a thought yet. But thanks so much. I'm really glad we could have you on. Kenny Florian, thanks so much for being here. I'm Kelsey McCarson. Thanks for watching the show.